welcome to the MJ Take on Sports Fan Entertainment, continuing my 2016 NFL season recaps and 2017 off-season previews, now talking about the Chicago Bears. And this was a team that I had a little bit of a crush on before the season. In July, I had this team going 10-6, and then after seeing this team in the preseason, I backed off of that a little bit and had this team going 8-8. But man, they didn't even come close to that. They ended up finishing 3-13. But when I went back again and I looked at this team and I looked at this roster and I looked at what went wrong this season, man, I still think there's actually a good team in there somewhere. And I know that Chicago Bears fans know what I'm talking about, so this won't be a big surprise to you. But to a lot of other people, they're going to be shocked to hear this. But guys, when we talk about like the San Francisco 49ers and the Cleveland Browns, this team is miles above those teams, but they've had injury problems. They've had coaching problems to me. And if they can fix those problems next year, don't be surprised. And I'm going to say right now, if the Chicago Bears team is in the playoffs next year. Now, they have some big issues to fix, but the number of issues that they had to fix are only a few, so let's get into it. But first, let's recap the 2016 season. So when you look at the key games from the Chicago Bears season, I start with week 2 against the Philadelphia Eagles, going up against the rookie Carson Wentz and letting him throw all over this football team. I think this is the game that Jay Cutler got injured as well, and this is where you got a sinking feeling in your stomach that, man, the Bears might not be very good this year at all, and that's what proved to be true. You look at the Week 8 game, the Halloween game against the Minnesota Vikings, where the Bears showed some signs of life, and you believed at this game that, hey, maybe they can go on a little bit of a second-half run, not make the playoffs or anything like that, but maybe finish 6-10 again or something like that. Jay Cutler came back, played well. Jordan Howard, really, to me, this is where I first saw him, and I really was impressed by him. This was definitely a key game for this football team, but I also look at their 49er win. The week later on in the season, very impressed by this win. They dominated the 49ers from start to finish. I also look at the Detroit Lions and Green Bay Packers losses later in the season as well, both by 3 points, and just showing that this Bears team, they're not far away, but they're just not good enough yet, and they're not well coached to me yet to win these type of games in the division. So let's start with the offensive side of things. And first of all, the offense MVP for this team was definitely Jordan Howard. Over 1,300 rushing yards this season from Jordan Howard, and that is absolutely incredible, especially when you look at this offense and their quarterback carousel that they were having throughout the entire season. For him to be consistent like he was, to come on late and to just be incredible. He's incredible. Over 5 yards per carry, and an argument could be made that he's a better running back than Ezekiel Elliott because he's behind a worse offensive line and he has a lot worse quarterbacks to deal with. So I was absolutely impressed by Jordan Howard, and he wins the offense MVP. Outside of him, though, the quarterbacks were just terrible this year, including Matt Barkley, who for some reason some Chicago Bears fans love and say, oh, this guy could be our franchise quarterback in the future. But I think you saw in the last 2 or 3 games that, yeah, this guy stinks, right? He finished the year with 8 touchdowns to 14 interceptions, a number of fumbles as well. One game with 5 interceptions, and you can blame his lack of wide receiver help or his lack of this or his lack of that. The guy stinks, and he's always going to be a backup quarterback in the NFL, hopefully, right? He can never enter a season being a starting quarterback for your football team, or you, my friends, are screwed. And that helped to me, that helped this team go down the horrible path in which they headed down. You look at Brian Hoyer, did not throw an interception this season, but still did not muster much confidence from anyone in the room. And then Jay Cutler did lead this team to a win against the Minnesota Vikings, but outside of that, really wasn't impressive. Not a great season for him. We look at the offensive line, and this is an offensive line that I think really overachieved this year, but in a good way. I mean, you look at Cody White here, who ended up being the starting center for this football team. He played really well in his rookie year. You look at Josh Sitton, who you guys signed from the Green Bay Packers. Why the Packers let him go, I'll never know. That guy's been fantastic for you. I've even seen some stats stats having him allowing 0 sacks this season. What a great season for him. You look at the tackles, Charles Leno Jr. on the left side and Bobby Massey on the right side. They've been very good. Bobby Massey definitely having the best year of his career, and Charles Leno ending up being a pretty good left tackle for you. And then the right guard position, Kyle Long, when he's in there, he's good. But again, injury problems for Kyle Long. But when he was in there, he was good. This Bears offensive line this year, pretty freaking good. Tight end, Zach Miller, he was good when healthy as well. You look at the wide receivers, Alshon Jeffery, a disappointing year for Alshon Jeffery, a PED suspension in the middle of the season, really near the end of the season. And even if he wasn't suspended, he would have barely gotten over 1,000 yards. Not a great season from him at all when he needed to have a great season. You look at the other wide receivers, though. You guys found a nice diamond in the rough in Cameron Meredith, the wide receiver that really came along this year. Ended up with over 850 receiving yards, a number of touchdowns as well. Moving forward, this guy can be your number 2 wide receiver to me, or your number 3. Probably your number 3 you feel more comfortable with, but I really like Cameron Meredith. You look at Kevin White. This is a wide receiver that, man, this guy can't stay healthy to save his life. Could not stay healthy his freshman campaign or his rookie campaign in the NFL. Did not play a game with a shin fracture, and then this year breaks his fibula. I mean, this guy's legs, my God, they're breaking every year, this guy's legs. Can someone get this guy a cane? So hopefully in the future he will be healthy, but man, how could we say that? Eddie Royal was okay. I still want him to be better. I still think he can be better, but I think this wide receiving core moving forward is actually decent. And again, I'm talking about a lot of these positions and they're not bad. So what went wrong? I'm about to get into that. But real quick, let's look at the defense as well. Let's move on to the defensive line. Let's start with Eddie Goldman, the nose tackle. When he's healthy, he's good. Wasn't healthy this season, though. You look at Akiem Hicks on this defensive line. What a great year for Akiem Hicks. Over 7 sacks. He was a force to be reckoned with throughout the entire year. You look at Jonathan Bullard, the freshman out of Florida. Not freshman, rookie. Why do I keep saying freshman today? The rookie out of Florida. This guy played, he was all right. But again, couldn't stay healthy. So a lot of health issues that will remain consistent throughout this entire video. Look at the linebackers. Pernell McPhee, another guy that couldn't stay healthy, but also did not have a great year. Definitely had a better year last year, even when he was on the field. So hopefully with a full health under him, he'll be better in the future. Inside linebackers, Jerrell Freeman, great year from him. Inside linebacker Denny Trevathan couldn't stay healthy as well. So the inside linebackers couldn't stay healthy. You look at the outside linebacker on the other side, Willie Young, also Leonard Floyd, and they played really well actually. And Willie Young was a guy that I didn't think would be a great fit for a 3-4 defense. He has proven to be pretty good. And Leonard Floyd, I thought it'd take him some time to develop. I only had him for like 5 sacks on the season. Ended up with over 7. So great rookie season from Leonard Floyd. We look at the secondary now. Adrian Amos, the strong safety for this team. He was a free safety last year. They put him more as strong safety this year. I think he's better at free safety, but he still had a good year. You look at the other safety position, Harold Jones-Quarty, who was not a great safety at all. I think they need to replace him. He also started Deion Bush for some games, but he wasn't very impressive, although he is a rookie. Look at the cornerbacks, man, just bad this year. And this is where you look at this Bears team and say, this is the weakest unit. Kyle Fuller never played a game, and he wasn't a great player last year by any means, but you definitely needed him. Okay, Tracy Porter, old and done. I know John Fox likes him, but man, this guy is old and done. Crevon LeBlanc, okay, the other cornerback that played way too much. I mean, come on, this guy's not very good. Bryce Callahan, I thought he was all right. You look at some other cornerbacks there, they just weren't very good either. This Bears team, their secondary was weak, especially at the cornerback position. So if I'm picking a defensive MVP for this football team on defense, obviously, I'm going to pick Akiem Hicks and Jerrell Freeman to be the co-MVPs. They were both fantastic. They both deserve the award, so let me give it to both of them. Real quick, let's look back at the 2016 NFL draft for this football team and the grades that I gave them. So initially, I gave this draft class a B-, and I think this grade has proven to be about right. I may upgrade it to a B or a B+ now. I was more impressed by Cody Whitehair and Leonard Floyd than I thought I would be before the season. Before the season, I gave Leonard Floyd a B- for that pick and Cody Whitehair a C+. They've definitely been better than that. However, I did give the Jordan Howard pick an absolute A. I thought it was a great pick, and it's proven to be a great pick. I hated the picks of DeAndre Houston Carson, who really didn't play, of DeAndre Hall, who really wasn't very good, and Deion Bush I liked, but he hasn't proven to be very good. I also do not like the pick of Nick what was the name again? Kwiatkowski out of West Virginia, and he hasn't really done much either. So I was kind of hit and miss, but I think this grade was about right. It wasn't that far off. It's probably like a B or B+ draft than a B-, but I felt I was pretty close. Now, one of the things that I really wanted to discuss in this video to kind of lead the structure for a little bit was I feel that, man, there need to be some changes on this coaching staff, specifically offensively. I know the defense had their issues, but offensively, there need to be changes. You look at Dow Loggins, the offensive coordinator for the Chicago Bears, he needs to be out of there. The guy was never qualified for the position. He only was the offensive coordinator 1 year in Tennessee, where they weren't very good. And you also look at their quarterbacks coach right now, Dave Ragone, also formerly of the Tennessee Titans. You can't keep hiring these Tennessee Titans coaches that when they weren't even very good, right, at all. So I don't understand the philosophy there. You got to get rid of these guys to me. And John Fox, you formerly were the head coach of the Denver Broncos, and who was your offensive coordinator for 3 years? Mike McCoy. You pick up the phone, you call Mike McCoy, and you do whatever you have to get Mike McCoy to be the offensive coordinator of the Chicago Bears. If you can make that move, this Bears team will be headed in the right direction. But I don't care who the Bears get in terms of the new quarterback or new wide receiver or whatever. This offense will not take the step forward that they need to take under Dow Loggins and Dave Ragone. You call Mike McCoy. You worked with him in the past. He did a very good job for you. He did an okay job as a head coach of the San Diego Chargers. In fact, a pretty bad job. But as an offensive coordinator, he is good. You pick up the phone. You call Mike McCoy. Okay, so with that in mind, there goes the 2016 season. Now let's look ahead to 2017. There's not a lot of holes on the Chicago Bears football team, but they have plenty of resources to fix the holes that they have. Let's start with their cap space. Over $60 million in cap space. They're projected to have about $62 million right now in cap space. And you look at their key free agents. Number 1, Alshon Jeffery. And this is a guy that I really wanted to defend before the season. I said, this guy's the number 1 wide receiver, no question to me, re-sign him. But after this season, after the PED suspension, you question if he can actually be a reliable number 1 receiver. He definitely has the number 1 wide receiver talent. Okay, he's a guy that any given season, he has the ability to go get 1,300 receiving yards and to be one of the best wide receivers in the league. But he never puts it all together. In one season, he had a very good season like 2 or 3 years ago, but since then, really hasn't done it. Can you allot to the amount of money that you need to re-sign him? You know, to me, I would only re-sign him for a contract less than an average salary of $11 million per year. If it goes above that, if he wants more than that, no way, right? If it's $10 million, like it's a 4-year, $40 million deal, the same deal that Allen Hurns of the Jacksonville Jaguars got, similar to the deal that Marvin Jones of the Detroit Lions got, then we can have a conversation, right? If he wants more than that, if he wants Emmanuel Sanders money, if he wants Antonio Brown money, if he wants Julio Jones money, I have to say no. Because although I know he has the talent of Julio Jones, which is scary to say, but honestly, it's true. You know, he does drop the ball a little bit more than Julio Jones, and he's not as athletic, but I mean, he can get 1,300 yards. He hasn't shown the ability to do it consistently season in, season out. So I would have to leave the conversation there. If he wants to re-sign for 5-year $50 or maybe 4-year $40, actually, I wouldn't want to go that 5th year. A 4-year $40 million deal or possibly a 3-year $30 million deal, I would definitely do it. But anything more than that, I think they should shy away. And would I franchise him? I'm not sure I would. You're talking about giving him $15 million again. You know, that's too much money. You know, he was the second highest paid wide receiver in the NFL this year. That's just too much money to do it again. So to me, I think this is the crossroads. You're either going to re-sign for the deal that we want you to, or you're gone. And we'll find someone that we can rely upon. So it's going to be very interesting to see what they do, but that's my philosophy on it right now. You look at Brian Hoyer, I might re-sign him. It depends on if you're going to keep Jay Cutler, right? So if you keep Jay Cutler, then get rid of Hoyer. If you get rid of Jay Cutler, keep Hoyer. And I think that'd be the good decision to make there. You look at Matt Barkley, I just maybe keep him as the number 3 option, but nothing more than that. He will never be more than that, hopefully. Ted Larsen, a guy that started some games at right guard, but he's a backup offensive lineman, but I do think he's somewhat of a key free agent. So with that in mind, what are the team needs for this team? I look at quarterback, number 1. They have to fix this quarterback situation. Either keep Jay Cutler or keep Brian Hoyer. You're going to need to have one veteran option on the roster because whomever you acquire, if you acquire someone in the draft, will not be ready. I don't think so. So keep one veteran quarterback, but then also probably draft one. Or if you can't get a Tony Romo or if you can't get a Tyrod Taylor, pursue that option as well. We'll get more into that in a second. We look at cornerback. Kyle Fuller cannot be relied upon. Time to improve upon our cornerbacks. Tracy Porter is done. Hopefully. God, please retire. You look at Bryce Callahan, not very good. Same goes with Crevon LeBlanc. Okay, so let's improve upon these cornerbacks. Offensive tackle. They don't need an offensive tackle because, again, Charles Leno and Bobby Massey played better this year, but to me, let's solidify that position because Charles Leno, I think this year may be a little bit of a fluke, and same goes for Bobby Massey. So just in case one of them wants to come into next year stinking, we're already prepared for that. We're already ready to go. Defensive end. I know you guys took Jonathan Bullard this year, but I wasn't too impressed. Let's go ahead and solidify that. Again, this Bears team really doesn't have many needs, right? And if you're going to have a Jonathan Allen available at defensive end, we're going to take him. So I do look at defensive end and thinking that it's a need. And then wide receiver, if they let go of Alshon Jeffery. If they don't, the wide receiver position is pretty good. With Jeffery, Meredith, Kevin White, if healthy, which you probably won't be, Eddie Royal, Josh Bellamy, they're fine. But if they let go of Jeffery, they're going to have to look for a new wide receiver. And again, that's something that I might do, especially considering the fact that I really don't believe this Bears team has many issues on the roster. I would look to draft a wide receiver in the 2nd round, right? That's something I would look to do if you guys let go of Alshon Jeffery, and I'd feel comfortable doing that. So with that in mind, let's look at potential free agent or trade acquisitions. Number 1, Tony Romo. And I think it's possible. I think Tony Romo would look at this team and say, despite their record, I think I could win here, trade me to Chicago. Something that's possible there. You look at Tyrod Taylor. The Bills probably going to let him go. I'm not sure he'd be a great fit with John Fox and this. With Darryl Loggins, he'd actually be an okay fit, but hopefully he's gone. If it's Mike McCoy in there, he wouldn't be a great fit with Mike McCoy. We'll see what happens, but Tyrod Taylor, a possibility. Trading for Jimmy Garoppolo, I wouldn't do it. I think this team, I mean, depends on what the asking price is actually, but now that I think about it, this team would actually be a nice fit because you don't need, to me, you don't need many draft picks in the future. I think this Bears roster, again, I really think that it's almost ready to go. I think it's only a 1-year fix, and then they're ready to freaking go, dog, as long as they fix the quarterback position. So maybe I would trade for Jimmy Garoppolo. Maybe I should. And then Nick Foles, if you want to get a backup veteran, wouldn't make much sense if you kept Brian Hoyer or Jay Cutler, but just in case. We look at some other options. Let's look at cornerbacks. Trumaine Johnson, A.J. Bouye, Stephon Gilmore, all cornerbacks, all could go to Chicago. Look at offensive tackles, Ricky Wagner, Riley Reiff. Look at wide receivers, Terrelle, Pryor, Kenny Britt. I think Kenny Britt would be a nice fit if you guys let go of Alshon Jeffery, DeSean Jackson, Willie Snead, and Kendall Wright. All options to me. 3-4 defensive end, Calais Campbell, also a possibility to me. Potential draft picks. with your first-round pick, Jonathan Allen. If you guys would be lucky enough to have him fall, he would be a great fit in Chicago. My God. We look at Mitch Trubisky and DeSean Kaiser. If you guys fall in love with the quarterback, you guys think one of these guys could be the future of your franchise, take one of them and do not blink an eye. We look at Jerrell Peppers and Jamal Adams. You know, I think Jerrell Peppers will fall, but just in case his stock is really high among NFL teams, and I really don't think it is, he could go as high as number 3. I wouldn't do it, but a lot of teams might. Jamal Adams, this would be very interesting. It'd be a pure need pick. If Jonathan Allen is off the board, you just say, hey, I want to pick need and only need, not necessarily the best player. To me, then, Jamal Adams is available as an option. Would I do it? I might. Pair him with Adrian Amos. We're talking about a nice safety duo in Chicago. It's also possible they could look for a Reuben Foster or a Malik Hooker. So let's go ahead and include those names as well. With their second-round pick, Juju Smith-Schuster. And if you guys let go of Alshon Jeffery, this is the guy I'm looking at. I'm circling him. I'm doing whatever I can to make sure that we get him. D.D. Westbrook out of Oklahoma as well. Another option. I don't think he'd be a number 1 option ever, but I think he could be a number 2. So you guys would have a couple of number 2s in Meredith, Kevin White. Maybe Kevin White develops into a number 1. Now D.D. Westbrook, but 3 number 2s kind of makes a number 1 and number 2. So it'd be a nice combination to me. It'd be interesting. We look at Deshaun Watson, Brad Kaya as well. 2 second-round quarterbacks, I believe. Perhaps Brad Kaya falls to the 3rd. Perhaps Deshaun Watson falls to the 3rd. If they do, there are options there as well. We look at some cornerbacks, Desmond King, Adoree Jackson, Jordan Lewis. Who else could be available here? If Quincy Wilson falls, Tease Tabor falls, Marshawn Lattimore falls, Garyon Conley. A lot of cornerback options will be available in this draft. So I've heard some people say and suggest that the Bears should reach for a cornerback at number 3. To me, hell no. There will be a cornerback, not even one. There will be 2, 3, 4, 5 cornerbacks of value by the time your second-round pick occurs, and even by the time your third-round pick occurs. Do not rush taking a corner. You take the best player available at number 3, or just whoever you want, and then at number 2, with your second-round pick, you take a cornerback. That's the move. It's a great move. It's already laid out for you. Just do it. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on the 2016 season for the Chicago Bears and my preview and overview of their 2017 offseason. What are your guys' thoughts on this? Comment down below. I want to know. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and most importantly, to subscribe. And until next time, this has been the MJ Take on Sports Fan Entertainment, and I'm out. Peace.